Hi. As you know, my name's Becky Barron, and I'm a student at the University of Findlay, getting my doctorate in physical therapy. As you all know, I'm currently a licensed PTA for 3 years, and today I'll be teaching you some things about maintaining function into older adulthood. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
All right. So basically, when we're out on the porch, I hear you guys sometimes complain that you're sore after some yard work or you can't do something like you used to. So I'm here to maybe help with that and help you guys age gracefully. Objectives are here, so you know what you should get out of this presentation. Basically, I'm going to explain some aging and muscle facts, balance and falls, a little bit of an overview of lifting techniques. Even though I know you guys are pretty familiar with that, it's just kind of remembering them. And some good knowledge of exercises to keep your health and function into older adulthood. So on the next slide, which is the aging and facts slide, there are some typical aging facts. As you guys probably know, most of your functions decline as you get older. For example, nerve conduction velocity declines about 15% from age 30 to 80. So basically, nerve conduction velocity is basically how fast your nerves, I guess, react to like a stimulus, or like let's say you're trying to tell your body to move, like the signals from your brain might not occur fast enough. Then next is your joint flexibility. It declines about 30% from those same ages, as some of you guys might know. And then next is bone. By the age of 70, women lose about 30% of bone mass, and then men 15%. And then for muscle strength, it decreases about 30% by the time you reach about 70 years old. Typically, your max muscle performance is around 30, and then it declines from there. All right, the next slide. I hope you like the pictures, the help I've fallen and can't get up lady. So why do we fall? Basically because of the facts that were said on the other side. These all play a factor in increasing falls. So it's because of balance impairments, reduced lower limb strength, and then here's a little statistic. 1 in 4 Americans age 65 and over fall each year. So 1 out of the 4 of you guys will fall maybe this year. I don't know. I'm trying not to jinx you guys. And then a sedentary lifestyle is associated with an increased incidence of falling, and the odds increase by 1.14 times. So, what is a sedentary lifestyle? Referring to the last slide, a sedentary lifestyle is defined as someone who spends over 50 to 70% of their waking hours doing sedentary activities. Activities that include prolonged sitting at a desk, driving a car, reading a book, phone time, computer time, all that stuff. I know Jeff has a more active job, but Diane might have a more sedentary lifestyle. So if you're at your desk for a long time, just stand up like maybe every 10 minutes, do a couple marches just to get yourself going.
Oh, 10 minutes, not an hour?
I would say every 10 minutes. And then does this sound like somebody that you know?
Me.
So is it too late to start exercising? Of course it's not. I mean, of course I'm a PT and I'm going to tell you to exercise, but it's never too late to start. Exercise can reverse or decrease the effects of aging that I said, of course, in the other slides. And of course, exercise can increase muscle mass, increase joint mobility, function. It can improve your balance and improve cardiovascular function. So what am I trying to say? Exercise is an important component to add to your day in order to maintain function or the ability to continue performing ADLs, which ADL stands for Activities of Daily Living. And you want to keep doing those with independence and less risk of falls. Basically, if you want to keep doing the active things you enjoy, you should probably exercise. So some of the things you might enjoy is housework, yard work, fixing cars, grocery shopping, walking your dog, playing with grandchildren, driving, going on walks, or attending church. Because I know all those are pretty important. They may not be fun, but they're activities of daily living. So I keep talking about this word balance. So what is balance? Typically, it's an outside force that challenges your balance. I define it as being able to stay upright without tipping over. There are many components to balance, which include core stability, reaction, the vestibular system, ankle strategy, and hip strategy. So basically, when an outside force challenges you, your ankles will kick in first to keep you upright. If a larger force occurs, then your hips will move to keep you on balance. So basically, if you ever notice, if you lose your balance, like you're going to move your feet a little bit more. And then if a bigger thing, you might kind of, wobble side to side. And then if a larger force hits you, you might take a step forward, which is called the stepping strategy. Core stability is also important in balance, as if you do not have trunk control, meaning your abdominals and small muscles that connect each spinal segment, balance will be quite difficult for you as well. So basically, the next couple of slides are going to be some exercises to help kind of either maintain your function or reverse the effects of aging. So the first exercise I have for you is pretty self-explanatory. It's called tandem stance. First, you put one foot in front of the other, almost like you're walking a tightrope, and you just stand there. You can first do this at a counter, so if you lose your balance, you can grab onto something really quickly and it's a stable surface. You don't want to do this with a rolly chair or anything like that. And you typically want to hold this for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then you can switch feet. Any questions on that one? Okay. So then the next one is single leg stance with a support. If you're super off balance, you can start like the one in the picture by holding on a counter or the chair the whole time, just so you can get a feel. Even though you're holding onto the chair, your ankle is still working to keep you upright. Once you get pretty comfortable, you can raise your hands up on occasion and hold on when you're feeling unsteady. Another key to this is to avoid the elevated limb from touching the other and to try to keep your hips level. When you try to keep your hips level and don't let them kind of dip and do like, the attitude girl kind of stance, you'll notice the sides of your hips will start burning, and that's normal because those muscles kind of help with hip stability and sometimes low back stability. The next one is more of like a dynamic balance sort of thing. It might be a little bit easier, but it's always something to keep up with. This one is basically a combination of balance and strengthening of the hips. Basically, you're doing side stepping and you want to keep your toes pointed forward the whole time. If you have a countertop, an island, or a narrow hallway, you can do it there in case you need to hold on to something or you lose your balance. In your handouts, I have further balance exercises that are more advanced, and I would only do these once you've mastered the other ones that I've kind of went over. Once you're able to do them for the most part without holding on, and for a full minute and without taking a step or grabbing onto something. Next is some of the lower body exercises. I know Jeff is probably familiar with this one. This exercise is basically to strengthen your gluteus medius, which is a muscle in your glutes, or your butt, I suppose. And it's a very important muscle for improved core stability, walking, proper knee position during squats. You're basically just kicking out to the side. It doesn't have to be a huge kick, but you just want to make sure that your torso doesn't move or lean, and you should stay in one place. So the trick is to just make sure you keep your chest in one place and you're not leaning while you're kicking out, or else it's really not doing much. You might feel it on both sides, in both the stance leg and the kicking leg, which is completely normal. That's why we do it on both sides. And you typically want to do this one for 3 sets and 10 reps every time you do it.
When I went to PT, I had to do some of those leg ones like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty common exercise, especially for like knees, hips, and even low back exercises, ankles, because, strong hips, strong knees, strong ankles is what I like to say. The next one is sit to stand without arm support. So I know, like, as you get older, you know, you might sit in the old couches and it'd be harder to get out of there. This might not be appropriate to do on a couch to begin with. I would do it with a more stable chair without wheels, something that's not going to move on you. They're pretty self-explanatory. The trick to this is to first do it in a stable chair, like I said. Avoid using your arms to push off of the armrest. At first, you can rest your arms on your lap to kind of help you at first, or you could then put them out in front like this guy in the picture. This one might be tiring, so only do as much as you can at first. I recommend 3 sets of 10, but if you can only do maybe 10 to begin with, and then the next week maybe try to do a little bit more until you've reached 3 sets of 10 would be ideal.
What does this strengthen? The knees?
So it's both knees and your hips. So this is what we call like a closed chain activity, or like something that uses multiple muscles. So basically when you're getting up from the chair, you're using your glute muscles, so your butt, and then your quad muscles, which are in front of your thighs. And also there's a balance component to it. And then when you lower down, you kind of want to go at a slower pace and not just plop down, because it's using those muscles in a different way that's a little bit harder. Typically, when you go back to the starting position in a slow manner is when, like, your muscles are going to work more, and that's kind of like when you start to get sore. So this is good for anybody with knee issues, I would say, hips, and stuff like that. And plus, it's a daily activity. You want to be able to get out of your chair as you get older, too. All right, the next one is just the standard heeled raise. This one is super important in terms of balance and just walking as well. Doing this slowly can also help prevent some tendonitis if you have it as well. This one works those calf muscles in the back, and sometimes we always forget to work our calf muscles because you might feel like they're fine, but it's not something that you should ignore. And the next one is the step up. This one is another pretty easy one. Maybe not to perform, but it's easy to do at home and not go to the gym or anything. First, I would hold on if you have some railings, but you want to avoid using your arms to help pull yourself up. Usually when you step onto the step, you want to push your weight through your heels and focus on that so that you get more of the glutes in there. As you get better, you can try performing without holding on, and you want to do both sides and do them equally. You don't want to kind of neglect one side. And the amazing thing about this exercise is that I'm sure you have like a step or something in the house, and you can easily do 3 sets of 10 on each side. And of course, you could probably guess what this helps with. It's going up and down the stairs and everything like that. The next exercise is another important one. I feel is as we age, we get less flexible, and a lot of times the hamstrings get really tight, and it can basically kind of cause some low back or knee issues. The trick to this one is that you do not want to arch your back when you lean forward. You want to lean forward with your chest open and hold for 30 seconds. And you should feel a good stretch on the back of your thigh. It should be slightly uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be too intense where you can't hold it for 30 seconds. And if you feel like it's too intense, you can just ease up a bit and just hold it a little bit longer. There's some more exercises on the handout that I provided, and I feel the ones I'm presenting are the more complicated ones and need a little bit more explanation. So if you have any questions about the other ones, just let me know. So the next one, we're going to go into more of the upper body exercises. So the next one is just like you're washing a wall. You can do this as a chore as well if you want to. Or you can wash the mirror. You could spray some Windex on there and have a towel. Basically, you just put both towels in the hand or in the towel, and you have your palms facing the wall, and you just slide both arms up the wall as high as you can. What I notice is that people, as they age, their shoulder range of motion decreases, and this is a good way to keep up with that. Because usually when you lose shoulder range of motion, it can cause some pain or something like that. So the next one is called side lying shoulder external rotation. This one's basically really important to keep your rotator cuff strong. The role of the rotator cuff is basically to keep the ball of your shoulder in its socket properly. If there's a muscle strength imbalances between the four muscles of the rotator cuff, the humerus can elevate a little bit and it can cause some impingement and some pain there. But we don't want any pain, so this is a good one to do like right before you get out of bed. There's no need to perform with a dumbbell, but if it's too easy in the last set, you can start adding maybe like a vegetable can to it. Next one, if you have some TheraBand, you can buy it at like a Five Below, or if you want some, I can get you some. Basically, this is one for a postural strengthening and keeping an upright position. You're basically just going to row back against the resistance that's anchored and squeeze your shoulder blades back. The biggest point here is to avoid bringing your shoulders up towards your ears. You want to make sure you keep your shoulders down and imagine you're trying to squeeze maybe like a quarter in the middle, like the back middle of your back.
So is it both hands?
Yeah, both. At the same time. Like for the women, you want to kind of keep your forearms in line with, I guess, your bra strap, is what I kind of say. So then the next one, there's like a little video associated with it. And this is a good core exercise that I like to show everybody.
Lie flat on your back and engage your deep core muscles by drawing your belly button inwards towards your spine slightly, while flattening your spine against the floor. Then relax. Repeat as required.
Okay. So basically it looks like a weird exercise, but it's actually very helpful. The trick here is just rest your feet on the ground and do not push your feet into the ground to raise your butt up. This should also come from mostly your abdominal muscles. You want to imagine bringing your belly button down towards the ground and then up towards your ribs, and that'll kind of get that curl to your lower body.
So you're not lifting your back though?
No, so this isn't like the bridge where you're lifting your bottom up. This is all coming from your from like your ab muscles or your core. So you don't want to, your legs don't want to do any work. It's mostly kind of like sucking in your stomach, but you're also kind of doing like a reverse curl. Oops. Okay, so when could you do these? So basically, sometimes I know a lot of people don't like to have a set time for exercise, or they feel like they don't have time. So an easy one is just to kind of sneak it in as much as you can. For example, if you want to increase some of your walking, you can park further away from the store. You can do some of these during TV commercials, before you wake up in the morning, waiting for the microwave. And you can also make it a social thing with your friends, or you just got to sneak it in. The next slide is lifting. So finally, here are some lifting tips. As many of us all forget, you want to lift with your legs and avoid arching your back. You want to keep your back straight, but it's okay to just have a little bit of a wiggle room. And you want to squat down. And of course, if the load seems way too heavy, just ask for help. Like, there's no shame in asking for help if you need to lift something up. Another thing we always forget is to keep the load close to your body. The further away you keep it from your body, the more stress on your back and arms. Even if you're lifting something from the floor, get as close to you as you can, or even maybe a little over it if it's necessary. Also, if you're lifting something overhead to a shelf, you want to kind of keep it as close to your body, bring it as close to your body as you can, step as close as you can to the shelf, and then reach up there. You never kind of want to reach out for it. And again, like, you want to turn with your feet, not your waist. And just take your time when you're doing it. Like, don't get distracted, because when you're distracted, you tend to kind of forget these proper body mechanics. So again, just for a reminder, these exercises are more of a prevention program. You want to consult your doctor before increasing your activity, especially if you have any comorbidities, like if you had like any recent surgeries or certain heart conditions or anything like that, where exercise can kind of affect you. Of course, you want to start slow and light. I wouldn't start, curling the 100-pounders. And you want to be near a stable surface if you need to hold on for balance. And of course, if you feel pain, stop that exercise and go see one of us, a PT, or I guess a PTA in my case. This last slide here is basically a nice little chart which kind of explains some of the exercise recommendations in terms of how often you should perform the exercises, what kind of intensity they should be at, and what kind of type you are considered in those categories. If you have any questions about that, you can ask me at the end of the presentation. And then finally, I hope you learned something. And then you got to remember to listen to your body when doing these exercises. Don't beat yourself up if you can only do a few reps of it at a time. Exercise is important for all health aspects, not just maintaining function or looking good. And don't look at exercise as a chore. Look at it as I get to exercise today. So my information is on the next slide, which is if you have any questions, you can contact me at my email, or you can ask me in the next couple of minutes. And then my references follow that. Do you guys have any questions?